Hello and welcome to BlueTube, where we talk all things blue, and welcome to another rendition of Transfer Talk. And this is week 3 of the transfer window, I do believe. And as all the other videos so far, there are a lot of stories to talk about. But before I get to those stories, I'd just like to mention, I know I've been sticking to a Friday schedule so far, and this video is probably going to go up on Saturday. That's because I've been insanely busy over the last days, but I'm squeezing this in today. So, sorry about that. I will be trying to, next week I might actually upload on a Thursday, because I might be busy throughout Friday and Saturday and I don't know. Next week, basically the upload schedule might go a little bit crazy. Don't worry about that. But what we care about are the transfer talk with Rumours stories. First one, I'm sure you've all heard of it. It was on Chelsea's official website as well. Chelsea have loaned Papi Djilobodji on loan to Werder Bremen, and this is kind of a strange one. If you guys, by the way, you probably forgot who he is. We signed him on transfer deadline day, and people were saying, "Oh, this is the dumbest thing that Chelsea had ever done." Because by the way, a deadline day of the summer 2015, we were saying because we didn't get John Stones, we're just resorting to some random French guy. Well, he's not French, but from the French league that nobody's ever heard of before, and stuff like that. He hasn't really made an entrance. In fact, I think he's played in one game, I think, under Mourinho throughout this entire season so far. So, he hasn't really been involved. He's going out on loan to Werder Bremen. To be honest, I don't even know why we bought him in the first place. And this is Chelsea's loan policy once again. We keep buying these players. We keep taking in these players and putting them out on loan for no reason. And that's why we have 35 players out on loan or something crazy like that. And that's just another added to the list. Next thing is another loan. Chelsea's Patrick Bamford. As you guys know, he did go on loan to the Crystal Palace this season, the beginning of the season, after being voted the Championship's best player of the season last season. But his loan at Crystal Palace wasn't very successful. He terminated it in January because he wasn't getting enough playing time, and apparently Norwich are actually interested in getting his services until the rest of the season. And I think I would let Bamford go, because even though Diego Costa is, and of course Loic, actually, I didn't think about it like this. Falcao is injured and he's just not a very good player. Remy, he's decent. Diego Costa, he's hitting some form actually. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to have someone like Patrick Bamford in the bench, because he has had some Premier League experience. He was the Championship's best player of the season last season. So I think maybe, especially in the type of season that Chelsea's having right now, it's a great way to integrate youth players into it. But the rumors suggest that he will be going out on loan to Norwich City. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I think either way, I'd be kind of happy, because if he goes on loan, he'll get more experience. If he stays, it could be a great opportunity to break into that first team, especially in Chelsea's current season. So there's that story. And by the way, I say this in every video, but every article that's being shown on the screen is going to be in the description down below. So if you want to read into it in more depth or anything like that, or if you don't believe me, you can just click in the description down below and find the links in the bottom of the description. Anyway, and this story is actually kind of interesting, because in the beginning of the Chelsea transfer window, of this winter transfer window, every media outlet was saying, all these players are going to leave. Inter and Juventus and everyone are going to buy players, and they're going to raid you. Real Madrid's going to buy Hazard and blah, blah, blah. But then, once we started to actually pick up some form as a team, those rumors started to go away. And by the way, speaking of games, that game against Everton, what an amazing game. 3-3, that was incredible. And of course, Chelsea Arsenal next week, really looking forward to that, or probably tomorrow from the time that I'm uploading this. But anyway, but apparently those rumors are starting to appear back now. As it says here, Chelsea are facing an uphill battle to convince Nemanja Matic to stay. If you've been watching Chelsea in the last few days, you'll know that Jonobi Mikel has been kind of taking priority over Nemanja Matic, and I think that's been an incredibly great tactical move on Gus Hiddink's part, and I would definitely applaud him for that, because I think what Nemanja Matic this season has lacked a lot of things. He hasn't been nearly as solid as he was last season. He's not as good as breaking up play. His tackles are mistimed. He looks clumsy. His positioning is bad. All of that. Mikel, he comes in. He's strong. He's positionally good. He's a good tackler, and he just looks like a really, really good player. If you guys remember, like 2 weeks ago, Chelsea fans were even saying Mikel should win the Ballon d'Or because that game against Crystal Palace, I think, where he was exceptional. But anyway, Nemanja Matic is feeling a little bit unsettled because of Jonathan Mikel's increasing prominence in the team. But I honestly don't think he's gonna leave this window. I'm not saying he's not gonna leave forever, because there is a big possibility that a lot of Chelsea players will leave this summer. But I just don't think he's gonna leave this winter. I mean, like in this window. And speaking of the summer, apparently, as you can see this, Chelsea fearing summer exodus with 4 key stars nearing exit. And this is a genuine possibility, and we do have to fear this, I think. Apparently, players like Hazard, Courtois, Diego Costa, and Oscar, 4 of our most crucial players, want to leave. And I think this really, really will go down to the Champions League. If we qualify for the Champions League, I don't think any of them will leave, without a question of a doubt. If we don't qualify for the Champions League, I can see players like Eden Hazard leaving. I honestly do think that maybe he could leave to somewhere like Real Madrid. Of course, there are rumors that Ronaldo might move from Real Madrid as well of late, and of course there are always the rumor of Gareth Bale. And as I said 2 or 3 weeks ago, there could be a swap for Hazard and Bale in the summer. Who knows? That's still a possibility. But I think players like Oscar and Courtois will be a little bit more settled in Chelsea. I think, especially Courtois, I think he would stay at Chelsea. Oscar, he's been at the club for a while. The fans love him, and I'm sure he loves the club. I think he'll stay at the club. But Diego Costa, I think he's feeling a little bit unsettled. He's not liking the English media, the English football, the English teams. And I think he just enjoyed life a lot more when he was at Atletico. And there are rumors linking him to Atletico, which I'll cover later. But I honestly think that we have to prepare for a future without Diego Costa, and that's a shame, because if you watch the recent game for the last month or so, he's really hitting his form. And when he plays properly, and when he doesn't, partake in like frivolous, fights in the field or just stupid exchanges in the pitch, when he really focuses on the game, he can be an incredible player. He's got something like 4 goals in 4 games or something right now. It's pretty good. So I kind of want him to stay, but I do think that there is a genuine possibility of him leaving, and I do think that if we don't qualify for the Champions League, there is a possibility of Hazard leaving as well, and that would suck. That would really, really suck. I don't want them to leave. I don't want any of these guys to leave. But you know what? We do have to prepare for a harsh reality if we don't make it into the top 4, if we don't win the Champions League, if we're not in the Champions League next season. So hopefully, Gus Hiddink, you can get us to the top 4 so that this doesn't happen. As I said, Diego Costa is being targeted by Atletico Madrid, but of course, as the article says, Pedro is also being targeted by the same club. And apparently, Atletico Madrid think that they can seal the deal for both of them. I said it really weirdly. Seal the deal for both of them for £38 million. And that doesn't actually sound like a lot. Because let's think about how much we got Pedro for. We got Pedro for like 27 million or 21 to 27 million, around that region. That's the media kind of speculates somewhere within there. We got Diego Costa on a bargain, I think. We got him for like 29, 30 million pounds. And that was a bargain because he's had a sensational season prior to joining Chelsea. So 38 million pounds for both of them is really, really cheap. It's really, really cheap. I don't see Chelsea letting them go for that much money. They're worth a lot more. I don't think Chelsea's going to sell Pedro this window. There are a lot of rumors actually linking Pedro away from Chelsea. They're saying that he's unsettled, he doesn't like the physicality of English football, and if you actually watch the games, you can kind of see where they're coming from, because he does get knocked off the ball a lot. But I feel like in the last few weeks, he's kind of revived his game as well. He's a lot more committed to the game, a lot more dedicated to the team, and he's a lot more hardworking, and he's got a better work ethic, which I like. And Diego Costa, as I just said, he's hitting some form. I don't think any of these players are going to leave this window, guys. But the big thing about these transfer speculation is maybe next summer these players could leave. And I think if we don't make it into the Champions League, next summer could be one of the most interesting transfer windows for Chelsea in our club's history, hands down. It really could be. But maybe not in a great way, maybe in a bad way, because a lot of our players will leave. Hopefully it's not like that. But, you know, yeah, there's that. But let's get for some rumors of us buying players rather than players leaving us. And one of them is Alex Teixeira, who I've been talking about for the last 3 weeks, or last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks, ever since the transfer window opened. Literally, every outlet, every columnist, and every newspaper was talking about him, saying it's basically a done deal. It's basically a done deal. But guys, I'd like to point out to you, today, or the day you're watching this, or the day this is uploaded, is the 23rd of January. There is a week left, or a week and a day left of the transfer window, and Chelsea have made no signings so far. And maybe Gus Hiddink believes in the team. He did actually say in a press conference prior to the game against Everton that this is not a time to be making panic buys. This is not a time to be throwing out a bunch of money. This is a time where we need to look at the current squad that we have now, focus on improving that current squad, and focus on giving an opportunity to the youngsters in our team, which I particularly kind of support, to be honest. I don't disagree with that. I do think this is a great opportunity for youngsters to take a chance. But, you know, the quality of our side is not enough, and that has shown through this window. And if we're genuinely considering going for top 4 or fighting in the Champions League, we do need to make some transfers. And I do think Alex Teixeira would be a great player for us. I did say, you know, he's not really a striker, and the player that we should be looking for right now is an out-and-out striker, someone like Romelu Lukaku or Alexandre Pato, who I'll talk about in a little bit. But Alex Teixeira would also be an incredible player to have. And as I said, Pedro, who kind of plays in that middle 3 creative role, he is feeling the physicality a little bit. And Alex Teixeira is someone who's very, very strong. He can deal with the physicality. So he would add another, you know, option to us, attacking-wise, I guess. And I do think he'd be a great player. But the reason I put up this particular article is because Liverpool are joining the race as well for £24.6 million. Apparently Chelsea have offered £30 million, so I don't think Liverpool's bid will be accepted. So Chelsea do have that financial upper hand. But guys, this deal has been reported for the last 3 weeks, and it hasn't happened yet. I'm personally very, very surprised at how slow developments have been. And I did mention that Alex Teixeira, we've actually been linked with him since last January in 2015. And he has continually said right from the beginning, I look forward to working with Jose Mourinho, one of the best managers in the world. And I think because he's got sacked, because we don't have him as our manager anymore, that kind of stalled negotiations between us and Teixeira. And let me just move on to the next one here. Yes. He does understand that we are interested in him. He has publicly come out and said, you know, I'm very interested in Chelsea. I'm happy with their interest. And maybe he has hinted, you know, if I want to be in Brazil's team for the World Cup or their national team or whatever, maybe I need to make that move to a bigger team. So he's kind of hinted that. He's just, you know, he's hinting a lot. He's alluding a lot. He's leaving a lot to the imagination. I personally, you know, I'm shocked that the deal hasn't happened yet. But I do believe that the deal will go through, because because this is the player that Chelsea have been looking at for a while, and I do think I personally see the value in having in our squad, and I do think that the Chelsea board and manager see the value in having him as well. So I hope he comes, and I think he will come. But the only question is, you know, we got a week left. When's he gonna come? Another player that we've been mentioning, and as I said, that I just mentioned a few minutes ago, is Alexandre Pato. And if you guys remember Pato, he was a big player, a huge player in his time. When he was young, when he was playing for AC Milan, people were saying this guy is like one of the next big stars in world football. This guy is one of the next contenders for the Ballon d'Or. And then he had that injury which kind of ruined his career. And then he went to Corinthians in the Brazilian league, and ever since he hasn't really been looked at as the same caliber of player. So which is why he's being, you know, given for a cheap price, around 10 million or 11 million pounds Corinthians are offering to Chelsea. And by the way, maybe it's not even Corinthians. I'm pretty sure it's not Corinthians. Yeah, guys, it's probably not. He has played for Corinthians, but I'm pretty sure That's not his team right now. It's Sao Paulo in the picture. So I don't know, guys. I should have done some more research. But the reason I show you this page is Sky Sports. It says right here. You can't read it from the screen probably, but you can click the link down below. And Sky Sports, you guys will know, is a very, very reliable source. And it says, I'll read the caption word for word here. Our colleagues at Sky in Italy understand Alexandre Pato has a verbal agreement in place to join Chelsea. But how would he fit in at Stamford Bridge? So, their Italian sources at Sky are telling them that Pato has a verbal agreement to join Chelsea. And this has been very, very strongly reported throughout the last week, which is why I think it's very, very important to report it to you guys. And this is my question for you. Do we want to buy Alexandre Pato? Because he's £11 million. He seems like more of a short-term fix. He's like someone that we're going to buy today, and he'll be decent for the next 6 months or so. But then next season, we're going to sell him or something, and he's never going to be, played again. Would you be willing to have that kind of agreement? I personally oppose to this idea. I prefer to invest in someone who has a lot more quality about them. Someone like Romelu Lukaku. I keep going on about Lukaku. We're not being linked with him, by the way, which kind of sucks. But I would rather go for a higher caliber striker and invest in the short term as well as the long term, rather than go for someone like Alexandre Pato, who is a short-term solution only and doesn't really provide much options for the long term. But I want to hear your thoughts about this, because I know this has been a topic of controversy for Chelsea fans over the last week. I've seen it in other forums, other websites, or other videos about people discussing whether we want Pato or not. So tell me right now, do you want Alexandre Pato to join Chelsea this transfer window in the remaining week? Yes or no? For me, it's no, I have to say. And another no for me is Everton's John Stones, and apparently we are still pursuing him. I don't know if you guys have been around, if you guys have been keeping up with the news in the summer of 2015, but you guys can just go watch through my old transfer talk videos, which is actually how I started this channel. A bit of trivia for you. But in my early videos, there's literally rumors about John Stones every single day for like 5 weeks straight. And it was like the most, tiring thing to report in a video. And Chelsea are still going after him. And the annoying thing is, he is a great player. He is a homegrown player. He is an English player. We get that. But do we want to spend £50 million to buy John Stones? £50 million. Do you guys remember when we sold David Luiz for £50 million to PSG, and everyone made a mockery of us, or they made a mockery of PSG? David Luiz, I'm sorry, but David Luiz, when we sold him, was a much better player than John Stones is right now. No disrespect to John Stones, he is a good player. He has had a good season last season. He's having a decent season this season. But he's not worth £50 million. When is Chelsea going to get this in their head? And I know a lot of Chelsea fans would actually defend this and say, you know what? You look at Manchester City, they've spent £100 and something million this summer. You look at Manchester United, they've spent £100 million this summer. And a lot of Chelsea fans are saying, why don't we just splash the cash, do whatever it takes to strengthen our squad? And I get that argument. But £50 million for John Stones. There are so many other options out there. You just look at the centre backs in La Liga. There are so many possibilities. There are so many possibilities. You look at Kurt Zouma, who I would argue is one of the best centre backs in the Premier League this season. And that is a big debate, a controversial statement, but I would say so. And we bought him for £11 million. Of course he's not English. Of course he's not homegrown. I get that. But does being English grant you a price tag of £50 million? And of course he's a young player as well, I get that, but for me the price tag is not justified for a player like John Stones. I'd much rather go for somebody else. And I can't think of the name, but there's somebody in Sevilla, I think, a great, Atletico Bilbao actually, a French player, a French centre back, Laporte, there we go, Laporte, he would be, I think, a much better option. He would be available for something like £30 million. And Raphael Varane, he would be a much better option. In fact, he'd even have that French connection with Kurt Zouma. And in fact, Thibaut Courtois, he's Belgian, he speaks French as well. Be great communication in the back as well. Incredible for everyone. And imagine having Varane in our team, he'd probably cost something like 40 to 50 million pounds, but he's a much better player than John Stones. He plays for a much better club than John Stones. He's proven himself in La Liga, he's proven himself in the Champions League against some of the best players in the world. And that is the difference between someone like John Stones and Varane, and that is why the price tag of 40 million pounds, 50 million pounds is justified for someone like Varane, but not justified for someone like John Stones. But once again, I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below, because I do know that it's a controversial topic. I do accept that some Chelsea fans may disagree with me. I'd love to have a conversation about it. I'd love to talk about it with you, and maybe you guys can convince me and prove that I'm wrong. Who knows? And we've got a lot of stories, guys, as I said. The next one that we've got is Nacho I forgot his full name, but Nacho, he's a center back, Spanish center back, 26 years old, I think, at Real Madrid right now, and he's not feeling very involved. And you could imagine why. You look at Real Madrid's defenders, Pepe, Ramos, Varane, and where is there space for some random Nacho guy? There isn't space. And apparently he really wants to play in Euro 2016. And he knows that if he stays in Real Madrid, he's not gonna be picked. He's not gonna be even in contention for Euro 2016, which is why he's looking for a move away from Real Madrid. And apparently Arsenal or Chelsea are looking into him because he is a decent player, and he would be available for quite a cheap price, actually, for 11 million pounds, which I think is a decent price. But I personally don't think he's the right player that we should invest in. He is available for a cheap price. He does have experience at a high level. And it would suck to see him go to Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal's going to buy him as well, by the way, guys. But I don't think Chelsea are going to buy him, firstly. And I don't think Chelsea should be buying him, secondly. Because, he's not the world-class kind of player that we're looking for. He's not Laporte or Varane or maybe John Stones. Maybe John Stones. He's not at that level for me. He's not the same class. Which is why I don't think we should really look into Nacho. And another center back, there are loads of rumors for center backs. Apparently, Chelsea want to enforce their center backs. And another one is Ayman Abdennour, and he is another center back that we've been linked with in the summer as well. And I know a lot about the summer, guys, because I started my channel then, and I did daily transfer talk videos in the summer, actually. But Ayman Abdennour, he was actually at AS Monaco in the summer, and everyone was linking he's gonna come to Chelsea, he's gonna be a great player. But he actually moved to Valencia, I think. Yes, he moved to Valencia, and apparently he hasn't been doing too well. Gary Neville, as you guys know, is the new manager of Valencia. Doesn't really want him. He's in fact told him, if you want to leave, you can leave, and he'd be available for something like 19.7, basically 20 million pounds, which is actually not bad for a player like Abdennour, because in League On last season, he actually had a very good season, and he's proven himself as quite a good center back. And let me get some water, guys. That's so quiet and nice. Anyway, he is a good player, but once again, I don't think he's the caliber of player that we should be looking for. He's not. He is 26. He's not that old, to be honest. For a center back, he is quite pacey. So that age isn't really taking a toll on him. But for me personally, I would love to see Chelsea go for either Laporte or Varane. To be honest, they're both French. Zuma's French connection there. They're both very young, very promising, and they've proven themselves at the very highest levels. And I honestly just think that would be absolutely incredible, which is why I don't think we should be going for Abdennour, even though he is available for quite a cheap price this transfer window. So there's that. And I just talked about Nacho. What is happening? And this is quite an interesting story, actually. Something that kind of just came out of the blue. Ezequiel Lavezzi, I said that wrong. Apparently, PSG are interested in selling him to Chelsea. Lavezzi is interested in joining Chelsea. Chelsea are interested in buying Lavezzi. But I see a lot of holes in this article and a lot of holes in these kind of reports. And basically what these articles say is, in fact, his agent has been seen in London 2 days ago, or 3 days ago from when you're watching this. His agent has been spotted in London, so people are kind of putting 2 and 2 together, saying, oh, Chelsea's in London, his agent's in London, But I don't really think this is the right thing to do, because firstly, Ezequiel Lavezzi is around 30 years old. He's quite old. Secondly, why would PSG want to sell him to Chelsea if in the Champions League round of 16, which is coming in February, it's Chelsea versus PSG? Why would they want to sell Lavezzi to Chelsea? Thirdly, why would Chelsea want to buy Lavezzi? That would only further destabilize Eden Hazard and Pedro's position at the club, and that would increase their incentive for wanting to leave the club, which the word that I was looking for is that would unsettle players like Hazard. So for me, this report makes no sense, but apparently his agent was spotted in London and he is interested in a move to Chelsea. Apparently. I honestly don't think this is happening. I don't want this to happen, to be honest, because I don't want Hazard to feel unsettled. I want Hazard to feel at home, as much home as possible, if that's proper English, which I'm pretty sure it's not. So yeah, I don't think this is gonna happen. But you know what? A lot of you may want this to happen because he is a great player. In fact, last season in the Champions League battle that didn't really go too well for us, he did prove himself. He actually did play very, very well last season. And of course, PSG this season, they're incredible. Sorry, I don't know what was happening to me. They are incredible. In fact, they probably won Ligue 1 already halfway through the season, which just blows my mind. Kind of shows you the quality of Ligue 1. But anyway, that's a topic for another video. But guys, tell me, do you want Lavezzi to join Chelsea? You know, he is a great player. He would offer a lot, but for me, I don't want him to join Chelsea because firstly, it would be a waste of money because he's old, and it would unsettle players that are already there, and it would also block opportunities for young players like Kennedy, who's actually been given chances since Gus Hiddink come, and Kennedy has actually done pretty well, and Loftus-Cheek has done well and Loftus-Cheek has got a goal actually, and Kennedy, he should have, I think it didn't count as goal, even though it was, he kind of made that goal, it was him, but he didn't get the last touch. It counts as an own goal, which kind of sucks, but there's that. I feel like I've been like mumbling a lot, really, just like saying stuff. By the way, guys, let me just check stuff. Give me a sec. Okay, this is the last story of the day. I feel like I've kind of gone through everything pretty comprehensively. The last story of the day is Chelsea's bid for Mahrez, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to title it this, because this will excite a lot of Chelsea fans. Because this will be very, very exciting news to all of us, because he is such a quality player. And apparently, this was posted on Wednesday, this article, but before Wednesday, there was even an article saying Abramovich is going to bid 20 million for him, but now the latest consensus seems to be a 15 million pound bid, plus Christian Atsu to Leicester City in exchange for Riyad Mahrez. And if you guys don't remember Christian Atsu, he's a Ghanaian player. He's like 19 or 20 years old. He's a winger. He's very, very good. In fact, last season, 2015, in January, he was voted like the player of the tournament in African Cup of Nations, I think, which is pretty good for like a young player like him. And Ghana, I don't think Ghana won the tournament, but they went to the finals or something, if my memory serves me right. But he's a decent player. He was on loan at Everton last season, so he didn't, he hasn't really had a chance to shine for us. And apparently Chelsea are looking to let go of him. I do think this deal would be incredible if we managed to pull it off. 15 million plus Atsu for Riyad Mahrez would be an absolute steal for me, because Mahrez has got quality, he's got a touch, he's got a foot that not many players in world football have. He is an incredible player. I would love for him to join Chelsea. I honestly would. But I don't think Leicester is going to accept it. I don't think he's going to leave Leicester. I don't think with Jamie Vardy or Mahrez, who have been so influential this season, I don't think any of them are going to leave Leicester right now. Maybe in the summer they might leave. Who knows? But right now in the season, they're not going to leave because they're going to be committed to following through on the first half of the season. And they're going to want to win the league with Leicester and create history with them, which I completely understand. But if this could happen, if I was God, basically, I would want this deal to happen because he is a quality player. And I'm sure you guys do as well, but you know, if you don't want him, tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. And I'm sure there are arguments for that as well, because we have a plethora of players in that area. We've got Oscar, Pedro, Hazard, Willian, Kennedy, Loftus-Cheek, even Ramirez sometimes, and maybe Alex Teixeira if he decides to sign for Chelsea. And adding Mahrez on top of that would just completely, you know, just the congestion in that area would be absolutely unbelievable. It would be insane. The competition for places would just be basically. So, you know, who knows? There's an up and down side for everything. But my verdict on this is I don't think that Leicester City will let go of them in the winter, just because they are absolutely quality, and it would just be stupid of them to do so. It's kind of common sense, to be honest. But guys, as I said, that brings us to the end of today. Once again, apologies that this video is coming out a day late. I actually wanted to upload this on Friday, but of course, as I said, I was incredibly busy. So I'm going to upload it on Saturday. I'm really looking forward to the Arsenal game tomorrow. That'll be very, very, very interesting to watch. But guys, that's kind of it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Of course, as always, there'll be a transfer talk video coming out next week. Hopefully by then we've actually made some signings. But until then, guys, have a great week. And as always, stay blue.